Continuing the series, The Dispensations of the Holy Bible, Part 5. And I want to state, earlier when I started out this whole dispensation thing, I didn't realize the magnitude that it was going to cause me to go. Because as I started in this dispensation, and I want to say, I was intrigued that the Gentiles had, and I got this little thing I pulled off the internet, where you had Gentiles looking to the dispensation. And I had never really seen any Hebrew camps address the dispensations of the Bible. And, I was looking at how they have, how they got this thing done. I had to put, on here, the errors of the Gentile dispensation. Because I noticed as I was going in this lesson, and I looked at what had inspired me to go, I said, wait a minute. The Gentiles are trying to usurp Israel. They are trying to go around and, as if they've been taught. And when I look at the dispensation doctrine, I'm like, you could drive a Mack truck through this bad boy. It's got a hole that big in it. And it just further established the fact that the priest of God had to bring this matter. Being Israel, you had to bring this matter. If you taught by Israel, right, you could bring this matter. So, I looked and I was like, wow, it's amazing how this dispensation opens up. And I thought I was going to do it in 3 parts, and I'm saying I got to go like 6, 7 parts on this bad boy. But today in part 5, we're picking it up from where we left off last week in part 4. Because we took it to the rise of the great whore of Babylon, the mother of harlots, the mother of the abominations of the earth. And we're going to start in there. And this time what we're going to do, we're going to show you what she gave the world. And from that point forward, the things that she gave to the world, Israel or those of us that believe in Christ had not dealt with. So the abomination, the great whore that we left off with last week is where we're leaving off. We're going to start up this week. But this time we're going to take you into the remembrance of true Israel lost. We're going to take you from, again, the great whore of Babylon. And she persecuted. We kind of went in deep on the persecution side of this thing because they had actually persecuted Israel and those of us that believe in biblical Christianity to the point that we're going to address it, and it's historically accounted for, and we're going to get into that. But like I said, we're going to show you what she gave to the world. And the world has been changed by her doctrines and Christianity as we know it. According to the Bible, it wasn't the same. It simply is not the same as what's in the Bible. And today, pretty much modern day Christianity, we're looking at the mother of modern day Christianity. I said modern day Christianity, okay, y'all? Because when you go into the Bible, the Christianity that the world get and what the book gives you is two different bags of cats, y'all. 2 totally different things. So let's go to Revelations, the 17th chapter. Revelation 17. We're going to read starting in verse 3. I'm sorry, verse 5. Revelation 17 and verse 5. Because we left off with the persecutions of the church. And their church is persecuted by this entity that rose up and that had, we're going to deal with a little history today. I got a lot of historical documents to go into. And we're going to show you that this woman gave you Sunday. This woman gave you Christmas. It gave you Easter Sunday. And one other item I want to add in, it gave you what became known as the Christian symbol nowadays. The Roman cross. The cross that's shaped like a small T, not the capital T, the small T, okay? So we're going to deal and show you how the world gave that to you. And in the midst of giving that to you, they hounded those that actually believe to the point where if you believe this Bible and we being the people of this book, or if you believe the Bible, you were fleeing for your life. You had to go underground. So under this dispensation number 9, we're taking from the rise of the great whore of Babylon to the remembrance of true Israel lost and assumed. Okay? So right here, Revelation 17 chapter, let's start there. And we're going to look at some Inquisition stuff, y'all. This thing gets a little deep and a little hairy and a little scary here. So that you can understand why nowadays, if you believe the Bible, you are actually isolating yourself compared to the world of religion. You become like you're on an island. You become, it's almost like putting yourself in solitary, okay? So some people can't handle it. They look in the Bible, and they look at Christianity, they look in the Bible, and they look at Christianity, they say, oh, everybody knows that. But everybody ain't on this. So can you handle it? We're going to see, though, that this condition came about by way of this dispensation, when this great war gave the world what they call Christianity nowadays. So read Revelation 17 and verse, start at verse 4.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hands, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
And we're going to look at some of these abominations that she done put out, and the filthiness of her fornication, meaning no commitment. In other words, you know how it is with a harlot. Can never commit. You know, they just go around having fun, doping about. That's what fornication is. Lack of commitment, just getting it in, and you ain't committed to nothing, okay? And this whore was called this. Go ahead.
And upon her forehead was his name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Now notice upon her head was called, the first thing said mystery. Okay, so you know she's a fornicator. Any woman that she's mysteriously shows up and then she mysteriously gone, okay, think about it. Babylon the Great. Now, physical Babylon had come and gone with Nebuchadnezzar. But this Babylon, the Great, see the key word is the Great, is that it's a spiritual aspect of Babylon that's in effect. And the mother of harlots, meaning she got daughters. We're going to get to the daughters a little later on. They rose up a little later on, but we'll show you. And then in the abominations of the earth, go ahead, verse 6.
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and excuse me, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration.
Now we dealt with what blood, how and why why this woman was drunk with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, because persecution started on the true believers after 70 AD. It was a little bit before, but this woman rose up after 70 AD, and this woman was killing those that actually believed in Jesus, y'all. So with that being said, I want to go to Isaiah 47 and 15. I'm sorry, Revelation 18 chapter, kind of pursue this a little further. And then we're going to look at what this woman gave you. Revelation 18 chapter, and let's start at verse 1. Read.
And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, saying, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
Now look, I want to state, see, when John received his revelation, it was after the fall of 70 AD. Now I got up here the Gentile dynasty, but I want to come this up so we can kind of revisit just to get out a good reference here. After 70 AD, John the Baptist lived to be about 90 AD. He lived into this period called the Great Apostasy. That's why there was martyrs for Jesus, because after 70 AD, the persecution was on. And you had modern day Judaism rise up. You had what's called Catholicism rise up. And we're going to get to these denominations and Protestants a little later, but I just want to revisit that from last week so we got a good tracking on what we're working with. So, and also on this poster here, I'm going to go and just point this out. Because we're going to look at how the decrees of Constantine, I'll make sure you got a good clip on that. Constantine transferred capital from Rome to Constantinople. You had the Roman Empire split into Western and Eastern, and also during this time period, the Roman Empire 5, which actually began in 44 BC, it took on a religious wing. We dealt with that last week, how this woman rose up. And then in 313, Christianity was officially recognized. We're going to find out why they officially recognized it then. Because we're going to read what this woman gave the world. And they call that Christianity, y'all. Okay, we're going to see. We're going to see how that thing develops. But back in the book, just want to make sure we get our timeline and what we're working with is solid. So go ahead.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Now look, notice this falling ain't like, oh, I dropped something on the ground. No. This falling of Babylon is because it had become the habitation of what? Devils. That's why they was martyrs of Jesus. That's why it's called the mother of harlots. And it had children that come out of them. Then it called mystery. The mystery is that it became the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Go ahead.
For all nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Now notice that they waxed rich. Now, the rich that this thing is talking about is, if you look at paganism now, let me just go quick. If you notice, it's all built around money. Amen. It don't make sense, but it make dollars. Big dollars. Every time the pagan things come up, big money is involved in this thing. That's why I say it waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plague.
Now notice it said, come out of her, my people. We showed you how Israel got swallowed up in this thing. That's why you had the martyrs of Jesus. But he said, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin. Because if you don't come out of Babylon, the Lord don't know you. Even though you could be religiously decked out, religious in your mind, religion all over your mind, if you ain't come out of Babylon, the Lord don't know you. That's why you have to come out of her. Go ahead. And he said that you see not of her plagues. Go ahead.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works.
Yes, notice it said, for God has remembered her iniquities. That's why if you don't come out of her, the Lord will remember your iniquities. That's why you want to really know what Babylon is all about. And we're going to reveal what Babylon gave the world via this great whore. Go ahead.
And the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself.
Yes, she has.
And lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen.
Oh, she said, I sit a queen. Now they got this image that they put up. It said the queen of heaven. Now think about it. What religion right around got a queen of heaven, y'all? Think about it. Food for thought. Go ahead. But this woman said, I sit a queen. Go ahead.
And am no widow.
So she said, no, she's not a widow. So who she married to me? But notice she became a habitation of what? Devils. Think about it. Go ahead.
And shall see no sorrow.
Now she thinking she said see what? No sorrow. But she gonna see sorrow, y'all. Go ahead.
Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. So
when the Lord get ready to take her out, it's gonna be with fire. That's how he coming with his kingdom, y'all. He coming with his kingdom like that. Now let's go to Isaiah 47:1. And then it will show you what the woman gave us. The word. Isaiah 47:1. Isaiah 47 and 1. You get it? Read, son.
Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
Oh, call her old virgin daughter of Babylon. Remember, she's called Babylon the Great. We read about Babylon the Great, brother, in Revelation 17 chapter. Here we reading about the daughter, virgin daughter of Babylon. Go ahead.
Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
Now, it's really no throne, y'all, because the one that's actually in control is Satan. He calls himself having a throne. He's sitting in the church. We read that last week, how he got his seat sitting up in the church. But it's really not a throne, y'all. But go ahead.
Take the millstones and grind mill. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man.
Because he's going to meet this woman as God. He's going to meet her with fire, y'all. Go ahead.
As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
Now this is prophecies we're looking at, y'all. This ain't happened yet. But the Lord is pointing out through the prophet Isaiah how this woman done exalted herself, but yet her end is she shall be what? She shall be no more. Thou shalt no more be called the Lady of the Kingdoms. She the Lady of the Kingdoms now, y'all. Straight up, go ahead.
I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancient. Hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
Now look, he said, the Lord said, I was wroth with my people, and I given them into your hand, and thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancients. Hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. That's why we had the models of who? Jesus. So that's who's talking here. Go ahead.
And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever.
See, she's so high-minded and so, I mean, we talked to one of the priests, one of those priests that come out that's under the woman. He said, look, we running. If we didn't set you up, you ain't no church. If we didn't establish you, you're nothing. So that's how high-minded this organization is. Go ahead.
I shall be a lady forever. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, that thou art given to pleasure.
And they are given to pleasures, y'all. Big time. Go ahead.
Thou dwellest carelessly, that saith in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Remember we said, I'm no widow. Remember we read that in Revelation, the 18th chapter? She said, I'm no widow. Here we go, same woman. Neither, but one of her daughters, okay? Neither shall I know the loss of children. So she got children. Mother of harlots, go ahead.
Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day.
Notice the Lord said, but these two things shall come to thee in a what? In a moment, in one day. Go ahead.
The loss of children.
Look, gotta come out of this one. If you caught a child of this woman, you shall be lost. Go ahead. The loss of children
and widowhood.
Yes, sir.
They shall come upon thee, and their perfection. For the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness.
See, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Go ahead.
Thou hast said, none seeth thee. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me.
See, this woman is so exalted. Let's go look at some of the things that she put on the table, y'all. And what I want to do is go into, we're going to go into history here, and I want to bring up the first thing she brought up via a man was Sunday worship. Now, I'm going to go into this book right quick. Haley's Bible Handbook. Haley's Bible Handbook. And what we're going to do is look at Constantine Sunday.
Constantine and Sunday.
Now this come out of Haiti Bible Handbook. What page is that?
Page 760. 760.
760. Okay. Page 760 out of the Haiti Bible Handbook. Read that again.
Constantine and Sunday.
Uh-huh.
He made the Christians' day of assembly, Sunday a rest day, forbidding ordinary work, permitting Christian soldiers to attend church services. This rest for one day a week meant much for slaves.
Now look, it meant much for slaves because it wasn't a Christian thing. It was what Emperor Constantine had set up. And what I want to bring up here is also, I think it's in the same thing. Here's what I want you to do. We skip down here. Paganization of the church, and then we'll skip down here and read that part. Quote that by Christ.
Paganization of the church. Christ had designed to conquer by purely spiritual and moral means. Up to this time, conversion was voluntary, a genuine change in heart and life. But now the military spirit of Imperial Rome had entered the church. The church had conquered the Roman Empire, but in reality, the Roman Empire had conquered the church.
So in reality, the Roman Empire had conquered the church. Go ahead.
By making the church over into the image of the Roman Empire. The church had changed its nature, had entered its great apostasy, had become a political organization in the spirit and pattern of Imperial Rome, and took its nosedive into the millennium of papal abominations.
Okay, papal abominations. Go ahead.
The imperial church of the 4th and 5th centuries had become an entirely different institution from the persecuted church of the first 3 centuries, and its ambition to rule, it lost and forgot the spirit of Christ. Worship, at first very simple, was developed into elaborate, stately, imposing ceremonies having all the outward splendor that had belonged to heathen temples.
So now they're looking all delicacy, looking very beautiful, y'all. And they do. It's all fashion. They look glorious. Oh, but it look like a fanfare. It look like it's one of those ceremonial, stately things. But thank you, sir. Now, what I want to do is go into just a little history here right quick. Now, let me put this other book to show you a little more in history, how this woman had actually taken over the world. Because you know the world think you ought to go to church on what day now? Sunday. Sunday, millions and millions are enthroned in this thing. So now here's, I want to go some more on this Sunday because that's the biggest thing that's on the planet right now. Here's what I want to do. This is under Constantine and the Christian Empire. Read right here. This highlight part down here. Now this is from the Bible Handbook. Read.
It is important to understand Constantine's previous religion, the worship of the unconquered sun. If the story of the cross in the sky is true, he may have interpreted the sign as his own special deity, recommending the worship of the Christian God. Constantine continued to identify the sun with the Christian God in some way, a belief made easier by the tendency of Christian writers and artists to use sun imagery in portraying Christ. For them, Christ is the source of light and salvation, and a mosaic from a 3rd century tomb founded under St. Peter's, Rome, even shows him as the sun god in his chariot, when in 321 Constantine made the first day of the week a holiday. He called it the venerable day of the sun, Sunday. When the pagan symbols eventually disappeared, the unconquered sun was the last to go. The Christian church took over many pagan ideas and images from sun worship. For example, came the celebration of Christ's birth on the 25th of December, the birthday of the sun. Similarly, the Roman winter festival of 12 through 21 of December provided the meridian.
That's good. That's good right there. So now we see Christmas led to Sunday. Sunday rather led to Christmas. 321 AD, you had Christmas. Now in 354 AD, if you was to Google right now, the first Christmas celebration recorded in history was in 354 AD, where you had this Pope. He did it in it says these words appeared AD 336, 25th DC, Nautis Christus in Bethlehem. This day, December 25th, 336, is the first recorded celebration of Christmas. So you had Sunday come on the table, then right after that came what? Christmas came on the table. How many people involved in that now, y'all? How many people is getting ready to partake in that right now? It's everywhere. It'll swallow the world up, y'all. It represents Babylon at her highest. And when we read out of this Bible handbook, the Christian church took over many pagan ideals and images from sun worship. So that's what's enthroned the world right now. That's what's covered. Now we went in depth how this woman did it by putting Jesus' name on this stuff, and ain't nobody checking out the doctrine, y'all. But just for historical reference, this occurred 336 rather AD and 4. So as the persecutions went on, this woman was putting their teeth into the world, and people don't fell for a hook, line, and sinker, and they are enthroned in that and don't realize that from this dispensation came this great whore Babylon. She put the doctrine out there that Sunday was the day to go to church on, and you're supposed to celebrate Christmas. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and bring them to back to this Irma Bible handbook and go to page 150 for buildings for worship. And we're just going to read this one paragraph right quick. And I want you to skip down to right here. Because what they started to do was they started making all these temples and started taking over temples. Go ahead.
Constantine's pronouncement of freedom of worship for all in the Edict of Milan 313 was soon reflected in the buildings used for Christian worship. The emperor himself built a new church in Rome, which symbolized the dawn of a new era. The
dawning of a new era, huh? So something new has come on the table. He's putting his temples in. Then he decreed Sunday, and then later on, Christmas worship came up. Go ahead.
Occasionally, pagan temples were taken over and adapted by the Christians.
Oh,
their own
so
worship.
pagan temples was what? Taken over and adopted by what?
The Christians for their own worship.
Adopted by Christians for their own worship. Now here's what I want to do. Let me get that back. Here's what I want to do, y'all. We're going to go and look at what happened when the people were in churches on Sunday, y'all. I'm going to go, this is a Bible handbook called the Encyclopedia of Women's Myths and Secrets by, what's the lady's name? Hold on, make sure I get her name. By Barbara G. Walker. And it's going to tell us how and what did they do on these days, y'all. Because, as we were able to talk about last week, you had Christianity being invaded by pagan Christians. And I want to read this. Let me read this part right here. Check this out, y'all. Watch this, y'all. Through the first half of the Christian era, paganism was overt, more or less acceptable. Christianity and paganism existed side by side in uneasy proximity, long enough for the Christians to take over as many pagan deities, holy places, customs, and holidays as possible. So we dealt with what kind of Christians those were in the last in part 4. It said, noting that the people wouldn't accept Christianity unless it could be considered an extension of their paganism. That's why Sunday got inserted. That's why Christmas got inserted. But none of those things are supported by the Bible. So it's just an extension. Sunday is an extension of pagan worship. This woman with her abominations was just extending, bringing this paganism and meshing it with, or melting it with, or mixing it with Christianity. Let me keep going. Now notice, it says here, this is page 758, by the way. It said, Pope Gregory the Great directed that Christian relics must be placed in the inner shrines of pagan temples, and the people converted gradually to the ideal that their deity was a saint instead of an unchristian spirit. So what kind of ministers are these? Let's go and read just a little bit. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 13. 2 Corinthians 11 and 13. Then we're going to come back and finish it. But I'm going to just use the Bible, and we're going to go history. Bible and history. Bible and history. 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 13. I didn't know this stuff was in the Bible, man, till somebody showed it to me. And then when I looked at history, I was like, there it is. Script, history, script. What kind of men, what kind of ministers, how do you do this? Extending paganism in Christianity. It's this woman taking over, y'all. Read verse 13. 2 Corinthians 11 and 13. Read.
For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their work.
So these ministers were actually working for Christ, and they were just blending it. I mean, for Satan, they would just blend and transform themselves to ministers of Christ, even though they worked for Satan. And now they just blending everything together, and they was extending, like I just read, it was considered an extension of their paganism. Now, here's what I want to do. I'm going to keep going. It said, for example, no, I'm sorry. Let me pick it up where I left off from. Pagan feast days were to be Christianized. Notice, for example, at Christmas, notice, here we go. At Christmas, the people were to be allowed to sacrifice and eat a great number of oxen to the glory of God, as they had formerly done to the devil. Now we see why Babylon had become a habitation of what? Devils. So now what the people was actually doing, they was Christianizing or Satanizing Christianity. That's why Satan was sitting in the church. That's what we showed you in part 4. So now, because this thing really, that's why the great persecutions were going on. And if you believe in this Bible, we're going to show you how they felt about the Bible, okay? And if you believed in the Bible back then, boy, look, we're going to read it. So it says, for example, Christmas, the people were to be allowed to sacrifice and eat a great number of oxen to the glory of God, as they had formerly done to the devil. Though the old deities were redefined as devils, nominal Christians continued to believe in them as firmly as they believed in Christ, if not more so. Now I'm going to skip down because we got some things going to. I'm going to skip down to what they did in church on Sunday. And it's still going on to this day. In the 10th century, it got so bad, y'all. Let me go over down this. In the 9th century, Synod of Rome recorded pagan worship in the churches. Many people, mostly women, come to church on Sundays and with holidays, not to attend mass, but to dance, sing broad songs, and do other such pagan things. Of course, the churches had deliberately lured women by taking over the shrines of their goddesses with the promise that the rites could continue as usual. So these are the things that were started out early on, how this woman was entrenching herself and setting herself up over the world. So now what I want to do is move right along. Make sure I got that. Let's go to, I'm going to go in this history book back to Haley's Bible Handbook. Oh, I covered it up. And show you how they felt about the Bible, y'all. Now, this is the papacy in the Bible. Because the people that believe in the Bible, let me go here. Now this is the papacy in the Bible. Let me read this here. Look, the papacy in the Bible, Hildebrand ordered Bohemians not to read the Bible. Innocent III forbade the people reading the Bible. They didn't want the people to be reading the Bible in their own language. Gregory IX forbade laymen possessing the Bible and suppressed translations, and translations among the Aborigines and Waldenese were burned, and people burned for having them. So if you actually believed in the Bible, it was not a good thing for you. And it says, translations among, Paul the Fourth prohibited the possession of translations without the permission of the Inquisition. The Jesuits induced Clemente the 11th to condemn the reading of the Bible by the laity. Leo the 12th and Pius the 8th, Gregory the 15th and Pius the 9th all condemned Bible societies. At that time it was Israel. In Catholic countries, the Bible was an unknown book. Think about it. That's why you go into these churches nowadays, the Bible, it's just a nice idea. It's just, for the majority people, y'all. But see, this thing got so bad that the Inquisitions had came into play. And I'm going to read about the Inquisitions right quick, and then we're going to get back into the Bible. Because people start seeing this thing, they're like, man, we can't read the Bible. Well, the woman got real testy, y'all. She got real testy. And I'm going to go and pull this up about Inquisitions. Let's go to the Inquisition. Now, the Inquisition, notice, this is back to the women's encyclopedia of myths and secrets. This is historically documented stuff. Watch this, y'all. Inquisition. It was invented primarily to force public acceptance of a church the public didn't want. This was the purpose of the Inquisition. According to contemporary reformism, the church had not 10 commandments, but only one. Bring hither the money. Come on, y'all. Y'all think that's changed? Think about it. Bring hither the money. St. Bernard deplored the church's greed. Whom can you show me among the prelates who does not seek rather to empty the pockets of his flock than to subdue their vices? Bulgarian writers said the priests of Rome were given to drunkenness, robbery. There is none to forbid them. The local Presbyterian Cosmos didn't deny it, but only insisted that Christians must honor even wicked priests. Because they was looking like, wait a minute, you don't want to read the Bible, but you want us to believe this? So this is what this Inquisition led to. And that's why the persecutions went on. This woman was drunken with the blood of those who believe in Jesus. And this priesthood or this church, because the Bible depicts a woman as a church. Here we see this doctrine, let me finish this. It insisted, God didn't deny, but it only insisted that the Christians must honor even wicked priests. This was an accepted doctrine. Notice, Plinthorpe said, the worst man, if he be a priest, is more worthy than the holiest of laymen. Priests were a privileged class, but their privilege was more and more resented. By the time you got to the 12th century, monasteries made themselves into wine shops and gambling houses. Nunneries became private whorehouses for the clergy, y'all. Priests used confessionals to seduce female parishioners. Episcopalian collectors were depicted in the popular stories as the worst of all sinners. The sale of church offerings was constant and unblushing. Even the Pope observed that those charged with divine grace participated in rape, desolation, even the shedding of blood. Pierre de Bros was burned in 1126 for declaring openly that God is no more in the church than in the marketplace. The forms of ceremonies with so many folks replace true religion, replace true religion are utterly useless. Then it said the cross should not be prayed to. The priests lied in pretending that they made Christ's body and gave it to the people for their salvation. According to Tisdale, common folk said of anything that went wrong, the bishop blessed it. Think about it. That's how bad it got, y'all. That's how bad it got. If no one said Babylon had fallen and become the habitation of every foul and unclean spirit. Look at what we're reading, y'all. Wow. Think about it. Notice it said the bishop blessed that which was wicked. If the dinner burned, they said the bishop had put his foot in it, because the bishop burned who they list and whosoever displeasing them. Would-be reformers within the church were usually silenced. So as you get close to the script, you try looking in the Bible or even bring a Bible, they want to silence you. So Freeman regime was executed for preaching against the church's abuse. He said bitterly, the enemies of the faith are among ourselves. The church governing us is the symbol assembled by the great whore of the apocalypse, or even Revelation, y'all, who persecuted the poor and the ministers of Christ. Nicholas D. Clement, rector of University of Paris, declared in an open letter that the popes were ravagers, not pastors, of their flocks. The priesthood had become a misery reduced to profaning its calling. Who do you think can endure, among many other abuses, your mercenary appointments, your multiple sales of benefits, your elevation of men without honesty or virtue to the most eminent position? Pope Alexander IV, no, this is the 6th. One of the men who so described was credited with the cynical remark, "It is not God's wish that a sinner should die, but that he should live and pay." This is what was going on, y'all. Y'all think that changed now? Y'all think that stuff done changed? Woo! This is things that have happened to this day, and they come out of this dispensation, the rise of this great whore. So, when you believe in the Bible, we being the people of the book, we suffer persecution. Now, what I want to do, let's go on to, now from that point, I want to go to Revelations, the dispensation, the part of this dispensation that Israel would be reduced to forgotten. So let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and 26. Because we were the people of the book. Matter of fact, yeah, let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 32 and 26. That's what this woman had brought on the table, y'all. Oh, I'm forgetting one piece. The cross. Let me bring this cross up. Oh, snap. Hold on. Almost left that out. Almost left that out. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's one last thing that this woman put on the table. And all of her daughters, had our partakers of it. Let me make sure. About the cross. Okay. Now, the cross, before, this is only in 70 AD. The source of this is AskWhy.cu Yukon. This is a United Kingdom website concerning Christianity and the cross. Now, the history they extracted from is this. Only in 70 AD did the Council of Constantinople decree that the lamb or the ram was to be replaced by a cross with a man nailed to it. The cross wasn't a symbol found in the home or the church of the real Christians. And I'm going to go with this other information that I extracted. when was the cross first used as a symbol of Christianity? At first, they were scared to display it publicly in case they were persecuted. See, the cross is an instrument of death. It's almost like the electric chair. Who were walking around or with a pistol? Who were actually walking around displaying a gun, being that's what they used to kill people with back then. Well, back then, the cross was used to execute criminals. So here, they were afraid to wear the cross. But this is the first instance of it being promoted. But it became 707 where it was ordained to replace the cross. But Constantine, the head of the church, but after the Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, which we now know what a Christianity from the Bible, because he gave us Christmas on Sunday. In the 4th century, the crucifixion was abolished as a punishment, and the cross was promoted as a symbol of the Son of God. Come on, y'all. Really? Now, I said, how did it become a symbol for Christianity? Early Christians, I understand why the cross became a symbol for Christianity, but how did it become a symbol? How did it start, and how did it evolve into the symbol we all know today? Early Christians felt the empty tomb was too difficult. The earliest images used by the Christians did not include a cross. Persecution required that they be circumspect, which meant that an image clearly associated with both Christ and execution could not be preferred. Thus, the earliest images included doves, particularly fish. Because remember, Jesus fed 5,000 with bread and fish. And a dove descended on Christ when he was baptized. That's enough right there. So the cross is what this woman gave to the world for a symbol of Christianity. So all her daughters got a cross and they worship y'all. So now let's move on to Deuteronomy 32 rather. It says 32 and 26. Because the Lord told Israel about a time would come when the Jew or Israel would not be remembered. He would cause the remembrance of Israel to cease. So let's go and read that. Deuteronomy 32 and 26. Because we read last week, Israel held the service of God, and when Israel got took out in 70 AD, everyone that dealt with the Christianity that come out the Bible was persecuted. Christianity was an illegal religion, y'all, up to the Edict of Milan in 313 AD. So we're going to Deuteronomy 32 and 26. Deuteronomy 32 and 26. Let's read that. Read.
I said, I will scatter them into corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
Now, how could this possibly be fulfilled, y'all? The Lord put this in the law way before Jesus came. Way before Jesus came. But how was this to be fulfilled? How was it that the Lord was going to cause the remembrance of Israel to cease from among men, y'all? Watch this, y'all. Let's go to, I want to go 29, Deuteronomy 29, 29 right quick. Let's back up there. Deuteronomy 29 and 29. Because to cause Israel to cease from remembrance, you were causing this to cease. Go ahead.
The secret things belong unto the Lord our God. But those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law.
So now if you cause Israel to cease from remembrance, and you causing the word of God to do what? To go and be forgotten. That's what Satan, that's why he persecuted the church. So once you cause Israel to go underground, and the secret things that belong to God, he revealed it unto us, and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. The woman persecuted the martyrs of Jesus, those that believe in the word. So Israel went under, y'all. And this is how we're going to get into this dispensation, by going to 83, Psalms 83. Psalms 83 and 1. So when Israel ceased to be remembered, the teachers had went in the darkness, and that's why this woman was persecuting the man-child, the woman that brought forth the man-child. That's in part 1. But we just focusing, we're going through the dispensation of that great whole, how she was able to swallow the world. We can see that clearly now. Everybody can see it is fulfilled. It has come to pass, it is in full throttle to this day. But the remembrance of Israel is what caused this woman to proliferate. Because if we were the teachers and we went underground, then what was happening, y'all? The Inquisition. People was forced to take a church that the public really didn't want. And Psalms 83 and 1, watch this, y'all. Psalms 83 and 1. Psalms 83 and 1. Read.
Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden one. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So now we're saying that the name of what? Israel, that's a nation, y'all. It's not a religion. It's a nation. But we were the ones that ordained, or the children of Israel, put it like that, children of Israel ordained to teach the word. They was going to go to be forgotten by what? Israel would lose their name. We be running around calling some Afro-Americans, colored, all manner. But look who led this conspiracy, though. Go ahead. Verse 5.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarites.
Now notice it said the tabernacles of Edom. This confederate consisted of the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. Then it says of Moab, and then the Hagarites. Go ahead.
Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
So we got a conglomerate going on here, y'all. With Esau leading the way, y'all, and Eric right behind him. But notice all these different people were part of this confederate. Go ahead.
Asher also is joined with them. They have hoping the children of Lot and Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Syria, as to Jabin at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb. Yea, all their princes are Zebah, as Zalmunna, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession.
Oh, so all these people said, do what? Who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in what? Possession. That's how they cause us to cease. Or the members of Israel to cease. So when the priests went underground and the persecution and this one was on the rise, that had never happened before, y'all. That's why it seemed real weird when you speak against the common religion of the day. Man, what's wrong with you? You don't love God? Well, I read the Bible. Why do you read the Bible? I actually have people say, you believe the Bible? Yeah. Well, remember what we read, the papacy felt about those that read the Bible. They was burned. They was killed. A lot of people died for this book, y'all. And if you are a believer in this book this day, when you walk up in churches, you get that persecution too. But look, let's go a little further in this thing. Let's go to Revelations 2 and 9. Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. And I noticed, looking at the Gentiles trying to do the dispensations, they omit Israel, the critical points about Israel. They don't even deal with it. They just, after Jesus' death and resurrection, this is the time of dispensation of grace. Well, what else happened to Israel? That's all. And then they put on there the Antichrist. like I said, I went and looked at it, because I know everything ain't known in one spot. I don't know everything, so I go and I look and I compare and I make sure, hey, is there any more information that I ought to be paying attention to that I haven't seen? So I like to compare notes, y'all. I do not lean into my own understanding. I put it on the table and I stack everybody else's stuff on. And I say, okay, look, who's what, what's who, let's sort it out, brothers. So when I saw, hey, wait a minute, they don't even talk about Israel going into to be forgotten, and this is what they also omit. Revelation 2 and 9, and let's start at 2 and 8. I'm gonna start at 2 and 8. Because remember, all this is after the dispensation of Jerusalem falling. Revelation 2 and 8, read.
And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive.
It's Jesus talking, y'all. Go ahead.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan.
Wait a minute now. He said, I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. How is this possible? Because remember, Israel, true Israel, will be forgotten. Right. Because they will come, all the host of the people will come and take the houses of God to cause the name of Israel to cease from among what? Men. It was a confederacy. So now, let's go to 3 and 9. He spoke this to the church of Philadelphia. Revelation 3 and 9, read.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have beloved thee.
I have loved thee.
I have loved thee.
Now notice, Jesus said this how many times? Not just once. But what? Twice, because he knew the remembrance of Israel would cease from among men. So you got people running around saying they are what? The Jews, and they are not. But they what? They do what? Lie. So now look, let's do ourselves a favor by going to Jeremiah 42 and 15. Because the other part of this thing was Israel went and did something. We went hid amongst our people that looked like us, but guess what? When we did that, Jeremiah 42 and 15. Jeremiah 42 and 15. Jeremiah 42, verse 15. That's what I want to start with. Actually, I want to start, 42 and this is Israel. It's for our hard-headedness, y'all. Let's start at 13 and go in. Start at 13 and read down to 15. Go ahead.
But if ye say, we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of the Lord your God, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where we shall see no war, nor hear the sound of the trumpet, nor have hunger of bread, and there will we dwell.
Now look, after 70 AD, some of us fled. Some of us went amongst people that look like us. Because we want to be with people that look like us, but everybody that look like us ain't necessarily us, y'all. So when the people went down there, watch this, read.
And now therefore hear the word of the Lord, ye remnant of Judah. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, if ye will set your faces to enter into Egypt, and go to the sojourn there, then it shall come to pass that the sword which ye feared shall overtake you there in the land of Egypt, and the famine whereof ye were afraid shall follow close after you there in Egypt, and there ye shall die. So shall it be with all the men that set their faces to go into Egypt to sojourn there. They shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, and none of them shall remain or escape from the evil that I will bring upon them.
So now, while we was amongst them over there, we call it nowadays Africa. Oh, we didn't have peace, y'all. Oh, we going somewhere with this, because you can't omit this in the dispensation when you study dispensations. And that's why I wrote on there the errors of the. They didn't want to look at this part, y'all. Go ahead.
For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, as mine anger and my fury have been poured forth upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
Oh, he did that in 70 AD. So we're talking after 70 AD, y'all. Go ahead.
So shall my fury be poured forth upon you when ye shall enter into Egypt, and ye shall be in excruciation and astonishment and a curse and a reproach, and ye shall see this place no more. The Lord has said concerning you, O ye remnant of Judah, but go ye not into Egypt. No, certainly that I have admonished you this day. For ye dissembled in your hearts.
Oh, for you disassembled where? In your hearts. In other words, look, y'all, persecution got so bad on the real Christians said, look, man, I ain't gonna even say them with you. You have people that capitulated, y'all. Matter of fact, I want to bring this piece up. Because you have people that responded to the persecution. Let me see if I got this. I had it here. Because people have responded by 3 ways. Either you fought against this new religion that was rising up, or you died, or you hold on. Make sure I got this piece. Or you did one. What I'm trying to find here. Because the people, you had 3: you either get killed. If you couldn't beat them, you joined them, which means you renounced your people's culture and you fell for the hook, line, and sinker, and you became one of them. And that's where they disassembled in their heart. Let me pull this piece up. Make sure I got this. Make sure I got this. Hold on. We have capitulated. Okay, here we go. Now, let me read this. It's called Blood of the Martyrs. It's a seed of the church by Tertullian. Reasons for the persecution. No, let's go to responses. Responses to this persecution. Apostates. Many left the faith. That's how we disassembled in our hearts. It's almost like when the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt the first time, they went back into Egypt in their hearts again. We could read that. Well, this is what happened when they couldn't take the persecution. Many had left the faith. They went down to Egypt, just like we just been reading, and they disassembled in their hearts. But when the apostates, many left the faith. Last, some denied under torture, but returned amidst opposition. Then you had your confessors, those who endure persecution and live to tell about it, the martyrs, those who witnessed unto death. Black markets, some in the wealthier families I'm sorry, that's another clip. But back in the book, for he said, for you go down to Egypt, for you disassemble in your hearts. Go ahead. Finish that verse 20.
For you disassemble in your hearts, when ye sent me unto the Lord your God, saying, pray for us unto the Lord our God, and according unto all that our God, and according unto all that the Lord our God shall say, so declare unto us, and we will do it. And now I have this day declared it to you, but ye have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your God, nor anything for the which he has sent me unto you. Now therefore know certainly that ye shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, in the place whither ye desire to go into sojourn.
So when Israel disassembled in their hearts, some became apostates, some left the faith, and they went off and they started joining all the other things that are around them and became like the heathen. So the remembrance of Israel, as the remembrance of Israel was going down, you had people that was assuming the identity of the land. Which leads us to, so we just come out of Dispensation 9. I want to go into the appointment of the land. into the hands of strangers, y'all. And how we know this? Let's go to Ezekiel 35th chapter. So you had Israel fleeing. You had those of us that believe in the word. You either died. Some of them confessed up. Some capitulated. So you had Israel going on the ground even deeper. And here, while that was happening, this was happening. Ezekiel 33, Psalm 35, and verse 1. Now think about it. You had Sunday worship sweeping the land, Christmas observance, even Easter. And you had the cross that this woman was put forth across the land. And those of us that believe in the Bible went underground. Some of them capitulated and our land had been taken over. Now, watch who's going into the land. Go ahead. Who's getting ready to take the land? Ezekiel 35 and 1.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it.
Now hold this spot. We're going to go to Genesis 32 and 3. Show you who Mount Seir represents. Genesis 32. So we got 32 and 3. Genesis 32 and 3. Genesis 32 and verse 3. Go ahead.
And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom.
So Seir is the country of who? Edom. Okay. So now Seir is the country of Edom. And let's go back. I just want to identify why when we see this word Mount Seir, we're talking about Edom. So let's go back to Ezekiel 35th chapter. What I want to do, I'm going to bring this up. Swap this down. Read verse 3.
And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir.
Oh, Mount Seir. Or government of Edom. Go ahead.
I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity. And the time that their iniquity had an end.
Had an end in the land, y'all, because when we read, Israel got took out. And see, we see here, because he had a perpetual hate. How long have Esau had a problem with his brother Jacob and his children? It said a perpetual, that means without end. It's ongoing, even to this day. And has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of the calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Watch this, y'all.
Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
That's why you had that, what they call the Holocaust. That's why that happened, y'all. Because of his perpetual hatred, the Lord we just read, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou hast not since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Go ahead.
Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passes out, and him that returneth.
So you don't hear about no Mount Seir now, y'all, it's gone. The Lord took that out, but there's a purpose behind that being, a reason why. Go ahead.
And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, and thy hills and thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword.
That's why the Arab war, that's why that war between them and the land is still going on to this day. Because Ishmael know who they are, and they know who they pursue. That's why they've been trying to get peace over there in the land for what? The longest. Ever since I've been born, I've been hearing about bombs falling over there in the land. Somebody that killed a Jew in the synagogue. Somebody went to this blood thing. The Lord, this has been going on for causes perpetual hatred for his brother Jacob, the children of Israel. So he said, I will fill this mountain with slain men, in thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. That's why what the people they call Jewish, they're paranoid. That's why they got, with the iron shield over there. Hey y'all, we read it and it's happening. But watch why it's happening. Go ahead.
I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return. And ye shall know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there.
Oh, whoa. So he took over two countries. The northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. He took over and he said, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess them. Remember we read that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. It was Confederacy. And who led the charge? Edom. He was up front. And notice it says here, now here's the dispensation part. Here we go. Whereas the Lord was there. So we're talking after 70 AD. We're not talking before. So we're talking after 70 AD. So we can get a tight picture right here. Let's get a tight picture, y'all, on this chart. I have to bring this back up. So now we got 70 AD. This line right here, this represents 70 AD. So now you got the Edict of Milan, 313, the Edict of Milan legalizing Christianity in the Roman Empire. And we know what kind of Christianity that is. It ain't Bible Christianity. Then you had the Emperor Constantine 321 AD. He came up with Sunday worship decree. And now we go further on. Now you got Esau taking the land, y'all. From this point forward, you had Khazars convert to Judaism. These are some of the people that was listed that say, let us take the house of God and its possessions. Then you had, let me make sure I'm not going too far ahead of myself here. Make sure we're tracking. Okay, so from them, so then they start making their books and they start taking the land from this point forward, y'all. All the way out up till when they declare themselves a nation, but we get to that point. But I just want to make sure you understand this is after 70 AD, and this is after Israel had, because that's why the Lord said, I know the blasphemy of them will say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So now they had taken the land. That's why you have Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. Right here. Verse 11, read.
Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will even do according to thy anger, and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thine hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them, when I have judged thee. See, look, the Lord said, I'm going to make myself known among Israel, when I have judged thee. That's how we know, when you have that Jewish, you call yourself Jewish, you ain't the Jew. Right. And the Lord said twice, I know the blasphemous them will say they are Jews and are not. That's why they have not accepted the Messiah. Because he said, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine what? Envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. Go ahead. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountain of Israel.
Oh, then Jesus said, I know the blasphemy of them which said they are what? Jews and are not. Well, synagogue of Satan. The Lord said, I know the blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying these are lands. The Lord heard the word, saying these are laid desolate. Go ahead.
Saying they are laid desolate. They are given us to consume.
See, remember Jesus said, behold, your house is laid unto you desolate, Israel. So who came in? Edom came in. And he said, they are desolate, they are given to us to consume. So now the land had been inhabited, re-inhabited, but now, or assumed by Edom. Go ahead.
Thus with your mouth You have boasted against
Yes,
me,
they have.
and have multiplied your words against me.
Uh-huh.
I have heard them. Thus saith the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate.
So they're going to be there all the way until when the Lord come back. That dispensation started when they took the land, y'all. So it had been, so once they had took the land, true Israel was out, underground. That which God had really given was being stomped on. You had to blaspheme, like the Lord just said, thus with your mouth have you boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. Listen, I've heard them. Thus said the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. Go ahead.
And thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate. So will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Mia, even all of Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Now
notice, y'all, this is the close of this dispensation. Look what he says. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate. Doesn't Jesus say that? We read that. He said, behold, Israel, your house is left to you desolate. So thou rejoiced at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate. So will I do unto thee, thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all, notice, Idumea. Because remember, we read earlier, Seir meant Edom. So now we see how Mount Seir, the land of Seir, Edom owned it. But now that he's taking the land, he had his modern day with the name that eventually got erased is called Idumea. So the Bible shows us a transition from Edom, Seir, which is also known as what? Idumea. Okay, so now let's go to Obadiah 1 and 15. Obadiah 1 and 15. And we're going to close it out with this right here. Because we're going to open up next week's part with the explosion of the daughters of Babylon. How you had all these religions start to rise up while Israel was underground and in bondage. So, Obadiah, one little book. Obadiah 1 and verse. You want to start here, Obadiah. I got Obadiah 1. Did I want to go 1 and 15? Obadiah 1 and 17. Make sure that is. Hold on. We read through it. Let's go and he took off. He stood there and captured Israel. Okay, let's go see, verse 15. Because this is when the Lord going to deal with that situation. Obadiah 1 and 15, read.
For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done it, shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head.
So if you've been putting out wickedness, as the heathen does, the wickedness is going to be turned back on their head. But they ain't going to like it. You know how they say payback is, you know what? Watch. That's why he said, your reward shall be returned upon your own head. Go ahead.
For as ye have drunken upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been.
Mm-hmm.
But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession.
See, the house of Jacob ain't got it now, because the dispensation of the land being in the hand of Esau or the Idumeans is what's going on now, and they call themselves Jews. But Jesus told you what they are. He said, I know the pastors that will say they are what? Jews, and I'm not. That's why the word, what, Israeli? That's what, and Jewish. They wish they were Jews, but anyway, but the Lord knows who they are. That's why he said, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Go ahead.
In the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble.
So that means the house is going to be burning up. And if Esau is stubble, that's the one that's getting burned up. Go ahead.
And they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Separate, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on the Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord.
Oh, has this happened yet, y'all? Have saviors come upon Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau? Has that happened yet, y'all? How long we got to wait for this thing to be over? So this is it started after Israel got took out of the land in 70 AD, after the persecutions. Now they possess the land, and all the history from henceforth, all this history, this is all Esau. He's all in his land. Everything from, because the Arabs know, that's why I say Ishmael is there, and they call his name Israel. And they say the Jews blamed for persecution for the Black Plague. Then what the real Jews are. Everything that's carried out all the way out to this day, even when they said the state of Israel in 1948 was established, and prior to that, well, that's about 9 years before that, you had the Holocaust. That was not the real Jews, y'all. Okay? So I'm going to leave that at this point, and then we're going to pick it up in part 6, and we're going to take it. Well, no, I just want to add this one point. This kind of nailed it in here. Nah. Let me see what my time is. I got time for that. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And see what happened to Israel. And as I was looking at, how these Gentiles want to do the dispensation, I noticed they had actually omitted the time period, or they didn't tell the truth about it. The dispensation immediately following 70 AD. One of them they put on here, because I have on here, they got on here, like this is called Dispensation of the Truth. They have on here, the church called the body of Christ, new organisms of the stewardship. And dispensation of the mystery, the dispensation of grace and the mystery of iniquity. But they don't talk about that Esau had taken the land. That's one form. Like I said, they try to get around the praise of God. They try to figure it out, but they just missing. And then this one right here, in particular, that I'm looking at, they got the Gentiles. Well, the age of the Gentiles is from the Garden of Eden to the Tower of Babel. I was like, wow, really. And then they got one part in here, one dispensation chart, another one by another church, rather, shall I say. And all this is by another church, by the way. They're saying the dispensation of grace, but they have nothing here that shows you what happened to Israel. Nothing here showing you what Jesus said, I know the blasphemers, they will say they are Jews and are not. Because during this dispensation that I just went over is why the truth fell to the ground. And if you didn't know that true Israel got took out, then you were still in Babylon. Because remember he said, come out of her, my people. So let's read this Deuteronomy 28 and 68. I didn't think I had enough time to deal with it, but I'm going to go clean in on this. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. So while Israel is underground, you have slavery kick off. Yeah, you have slavery. I want to go ahead and point this out. The transatlantic slave now. Transatlantic slave trade almost. Can you get to that? Can you see it? It's good. Okay, the transatlantic slave trade introduced. Slave trade was responsible for forced migration between 12 to 15 million people from Africa. Who do you think that was? Okay, the ones that went down there and disassembled themselves to the Western Hemisphere from the middle of the 15th century to the end of the 19th century. Now, I'm trying to see, did I put on here when slavery actually kicked off? The first slave ships to America, now it's been roughly the 1500s, I have up here 1619, okay? Was the first slave ship to America, okay? And let's read about that right here. Deuteronomy 28 and 60. I thought I could leave a little black history out, but and just to show you what the people look like, if you can zoom in on this part right here. These are the pictures taken out of the Egyptian tombs. This is what color the people are that inhabit the land at 70 AD. This is right here. Now, this down here, this is the Egyptians, okay, or you can say modern day terminology. The real Africans, okay, Africa ain't even a real word. I'm just using it so we can relate to that continent. Land of Ham, the Hamites, I understand who they really are, the Hamites, and then you have your Hebrews right here. So this is the Pharaoh on his chariot chasing the Hebrews, the blacks. So everybody black. So now let's go here into the book. Our last place in the book. Oh, our last piece of this, so we can get a good fix on this dispensation here. Because when the land got took out and it was appointed to possession of Esau, this is what this came up. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And notice this is the very last verse. I call this the ID card for who Israel really is. But right here, this is the last verse, and this signifies the last captivity that we went to. It's real interesting that the Lord called it this. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 rather than 68. Deuteronomy 28 and 68 read,
and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Wait a minute now, why would he have to bring Israel into Egypt with ships when they're right next door to each other? Right next door. Because he's not talking about the one that's right next door. He's talking about the one you had to get to by water. Captivity, y'all. What you think you use ships for? You don't use it for land. You use it for what? Water. So he said, the Lord said, bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Go ahead.
By the way of whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now he said, ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bond what? Women, and no man shall buy you. Now let's go to Ezekiel, the 19th chapter. Ezekiel 19th chapter in verse 4. Well, we're going to start at verse 1 and then we're going to skip down a little bit. Ezekiel 19 and verse 4. Ezekiel 19 and start at verse 1.
Verse 1.
Read.
Moreover, take thou up a lamentation for the princes of Israel.
So now he said, moreover, take up thou a lamentation for the princes of what? Israel. So that's what we're talking about. Let's make sure we're clear on that. We're talking about the princes of Israel. What happened to the princes of Israel that the Lord had it written? Let us take up a lamentation. I mean, let us mourn. Let's, oh, God, that's lament. Okay? When you're doing that kind of stuff. Okay? So now, verse 4.
Verse 4. The nations also heard of him. He was taken in their pit, and they brought him with chains unto the land of Egypt.
Wait a minute, and they brought him by what? Chains into the land of Egypt. Who went by water to another land in chains on a ship? Think about it. Unchained by water on ships. Who was this talking about? Let's skip down to verse 8.
Verse 8. Then the nations set against him on every side from the provinces and spread their net over him. He was taken in their pit.
They said, then the nations. So this ain't just one nation, y'all. The nations. Again, it said the nations heard of him. And here we see again, then the nations set against him on every side from the province and spread their net over him. And he was taken in their pit. Go ahead.
And they put him in in ward and chains.
Put them inward in chains. So now you went by ship in chains, because you ships on water, in chains, into Egypt. Then it said they put him inward in chains. Go ahead.
And brought him to the king of Babylon.
Oh, wait a minute now. He brought him to the king of Babylon. Wait a minute now. King of Babylon was Nebuchadnezzar. Oh, we're talking about now the king of Babylon, y'all. The religion of this world. Because remember, Babylon the Great was a mother. Now we see he brought to the king of Babylon. Think about it. Think about it. Brought him to the king of Babylon. Go ahead.
And brought him to the king of Babylon. They brought him into holes that his voice should no more be heard upon the mountains of Israel.
Oh, no wonder the Lord said, I know thy poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them that say they are what? Jews and are not. Who came over here by ship, in chains, put in words, remembrance took away, and then he said that their voice should no more be heard on the mountains of what? Israel. Think about who that is. And the color we just showed you on that. Do I need to elaborate any further? However, I just conclude this portion of our lesson today, June. And ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, because we do have a lesson full-blown coming up on this whole thing about Israel. But this dispensation that we just came out of, dispensation number 9, now this preludes to the explosion of the daughters of Babylon. So we're going to end it right here. So I hope you got some understanding about dispensation number 9. From the great whore of Babylon to the remembrance of Israel being wiped out from them.